Super Rugby Power Rankings for round number 6. Aussie teams, Kiwi teams. Remember, the Kiwi teams are still catching up in terms of games played. The Aussie teams are all at 6 games. Most of the New Zealand teams are at 5. A couple are still at 4. But yeah, we'll go through the rankings and you guys can let me know who is overrated and who's underrated. And yeah, we'll go from there. Starting with the bottom team in Australia. Right now, I've got it as the Fijian Drua. They lost their most recent game. I previously had the Rebels in this spot, and it was the Rebels that beat them at the weekend. And to be fair, the previous week when the Rebels lost, they'd actually looked substantially better. It's maybe actually finally starting to click. For the Rebels. The Drua, I do think, have looked encouraging, but the record is still 1-5 for them. So the away loss to the Rebels means they drop below. And the New Zealand side of things, it's kind of obvious that we go with the Highlanders. They just can't buy a win at the moment. I mean, they still had some encouraging moments in their home loss to the Blues, but a loss is a loss. What am I supposed to do? Can't put you guys up until you start winning. So, yes, worst record in the competition. The only team without a win. In Australia, we go to the Rebels. The Rebels, like I said, they picked up a win. They've genuinely looked better in the last couple of weeks, and they finally get a result. Can they maintain this? They're 1-5. If they keep improving, or at least not going back to their old ways, I do think the Rebels will pick up more than just the one win. But, yeah, it's going to be tough because other teams that you might expect them to be beating, like the Force or the Waratahs, are also kind of showing signs of improvement. So it's by no means going to be an easy one. Now, on a normal week, I think I would have had these guys up. But because they've played 2 games, Moana Pasifika are steady there in 5th. They won their first ever game over the Hurricanes, but they've since followed that up with a loss to the Blues. So it's a weird example where we've got 2 games in a week for one of the teams. It's the first time when I've been doing power rankings that's ever happened. So it's a bizarre kind of calculation for the Moana Pasifika guys in that they're up and then back down within a week's time. So yeah, pleasing that they beat the Canes. Absolutely, that showed some absolute fight. But then they lost to the Blues. So, as I said, it kind of cancels things out. In Australia, the Force, I've got the Force in 4th. They only just lost at the weekend to the Brumbies. So, as I said, I do think the Force are tracking okay. I think there's some encouraging signs for them. But they just, lack that slight bit of clinical edge. I think on another day, the Force might have been able to get a win, but not quite to be. I do think they're a team tracking very well, so pretty pleased with the Force, even if it wasn't a win for them. So they're the same, and these guys, the Hurricanes, I've also got the same. So there's not a heck of a lot in the way of changes, barring the Drua and the Force, so the Drua and the Rebels so far. The Canes, they lost to Moana Pasifika, which was a pretty bad look. It was a away loss. It was an overtime loss. So as losses go, there's worse ones to be had. But certainly in the New Zealand Conference, nobody wanted to be the first team to drop a result to Moana Pasifika. And yeah, the Canes are the ones who ate that one. So, I mean, if we've seen the subsequent game against the Blues were pushed by Moana Pasifika. So there's certainly no shame in it. I think they are starting to come right as well. But there you go. That's the bottom half. Top half in Australia, we still switch to having the Tars here in 3rd spot. Kind of no surprise. They lost to the Reds away from home. They certainly would have liked a better performance level, but Reds are a pretty good team. So no real dramas losing to the Reds as far as I'm concerned. So I think the Tars with 3-3, that's a pretty fair reflection of where they're at in Aussie rugby. One team that's on the decrease, is the Chiefs. The Chiefs in New Zealand couldn't back up against the Crusaders. They're down 2 spots. So it was a home loss to the Crusaders, who showed they are about... basically, the Crusaders showed what they're about, didn't they? They certainly wanted to erase that blip of losing at home to the Chiefs, and they did it and then some. So, yeah, the Chiefs, unfortunately for them, couldn't do a double over the Crusaders, but not many sides do. The Reds are here in second over in Oz, and the Brumbies are in first. The Brumbies are top of the whole competition at the moment, 6 from 6. They've certainly looked beatable at times, but they've still been getting the results. This is what champion teams do. And like I mentioned, the Reds 5-1, they got an expected result over the Tars. So nothing too dramatic about that. They were kind of solid without being spectacular. Now, the way this has worked out with the last two is the reason I've put the Crusaders jersey off. Forgive me, Crusaders fans, because the formula has spat your team out at second. Now, if I was picking off the top of my head, I sure as heck wouldn't be putting the Crusaders second. They would be one spot above. And I surely wouldn't be putting my boys here. But I do think this is just because, you guys know I use a formula to do this. It kind of spits it out with the Blues playing 2 games in 2 weeks. In 1 week, sorry. So the Blues have got 2 wins. And they're both away, so it kind of doubles down. So they doubly increased, if you know what I mean. So I do think that's a bit of an anomaly. If I was picking it myself, I would certainly have it at least like that for now. Because, I mean, the Blues, I don't mean to... they're my team, so I don't want to, say too much about them because I don't want to jinx them. But they're 4-1, man, which is a solid record, but the Moana Pasifika gave them troubles, So yeah, and their win down in Dunedin was certainly not without issue. Like, every game, the Blues in the last 10 minutes are only 1 score away from losing a game, basically. So yeah, the formula may spit the Blues out because they got 2 wins in a week. Only marginally ahead of the Crusaders, I might add. But if I was picking it, that's the order that I would probably have it at the moment. But, yeah. You guys let me know your thoughts. Super Rugby Power Rankings for round 6. Remember, we've still got, I think it's these 2 teams that have only played 4 games. Other Kiwi teams have all played 5. Aussie teams have all played 6. So we're still catching up. Hopefully we'll get there, and eventually we'll get these teams playing each other, and we'll see what the real kind of overall standings are like. But for now, that's it. You guys take care, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.